I want to talk about a watch that I'm surprised that a watchmaker owns, and that's this Rolex oyster quartz. I would think you would just be mechanical all the way, but what is it about this one?
We don't scoff at quartz.
I'm Thomas Henschwitz with Chrono24. We are at the Brew Watch headquarters today, sitting down with Jose Vega, going through every watch on the table with a man who knows them inside and out. Jose, I want to start with what you have on the wrist today. It is not a watch that I like, but I want to hear about it. So why did you choose this rather divisive Rolex GMT?
You know, it's just so out of left field for them. It's kind of weird at putting it on every time. It's, I want to put it on backwards every time, and I still set it when it's upside down because
it feels upside down, in a way.
But I really like the pop screen, and it's just probably a guilty pleasure.
From there, I want to take a bit of a left turn into your history as a watchmaker and start off with this one right here. I don't even know what to call it. Let's just call it the school watch.
Yes,
let's say.
Perfect.
What can you tell me about this one?
So yeah, this is my school watch. As a watchmaker, typically in school, you would make your own watch. I made another one, but this one is more my pride and joy. This is more of a finishing project. We're all handed this kind of as a raw, e-bosh, and we were tasked to make it pretty, essentially. So we did the striping, we did the perlage, we did the snailing, formed our own hairsprings with these. Mine feels a little special because I made my own dial. So it was more of a task to see if you could, one, do the finishing, and then also keep that finishing unscratched when you're putting it back together. It sounds pretty normal, but as a student, it is a difficult task.
Yeah, I can't even change a strap without scratching at the back of it, so I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I really love this watch. This is like my tuxedo watch, and out of my whole collection, this is the one that I really like the most.
Yeah, I mean, there are watches that people can buy, but this is, has a whole different provenance to it.
Of course, you can't buy this, you have to make it, so.
And I think that brings us nicely to this Tudor over here. Mm-hmm. This also has a special connection to it.
Correct. So, yeah, this Tudor, I mean, it's not the prettiest. It's big, it's bulky, but this is more representative of my time in school. It's basically our diploma. When you finish the school that I went to, which is the Lidditz Watch Technicum, you're kind of gifted with this as a token of graduating. So they engraved our name in the back, they put the year that you graduate, and this was given to all the watchmakers that graduate from school. So yeah, I wear it all the time. This is my most likely travel watch. I swim with this. It's mine.
So it's not just a diploma on the wall, let's
Exactly.
say.
I have a diploma, but this is more like, when you go out in town in Pennsylvania where my school was and you see someone with this on, they're a watchmaker.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your indicator.
Okay, yeah, because there's like special forces watches where you have to be some
I think this was only a
European
market watch. So this is early 2000s, before Tudor came back into the States. So it wasn't sold here that much. So it'd be rare to find someone with it.
And I love to see like the little scratches and signs
everywhere
on this thing.
Everywhere.
Yeah, well earned. Well, given your position in watchmaking and, these services are always in demand, you've gotten to meet a lot of people who, in the industry and including a lot of entrepreneurs.
Correct.
I want to start off here with this one, Brew, which is, again, shout out to John, the headquarters where we are right now. What can you tell me about this watch and how this came about?
Yeah, so I met John at, I think, Wind Up. It was probably the second year of Wind Up. And we, obviously, if anyone's met John, you know that he's the nicest guy ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct. So, we just formed a relationship and friendship, and he's, over the years asked me to help him with special projects, kind of like a consulting person, or, special projects with, when he does a one-off piece or stuff like that. So I've helped him, and, he's an amazing person. I would help time and time,
Yeah, he gets a lot of love on this channel. And another brand that we shout out every now and then is Autodromo, who happens to be your neighbor as well.
Yes, we randomly met from our other neighbor. He introduced us. My one neighbor said, hey, my neighbor's a watchmaker. You should go meet him. And, Bradley pictured had a picture in his mind of a 80-year-old man. And then when I came around the corner, he's like, "Wait, you fix watches?" Oh, it's kind of interesting. All right. So we formed a relationship like that, and he invited me to his office. Later on, it grew where I help him assemble these Ford GT watches that he makes. So he has a collaboration with Ford to make the owners' watches that people that are purchasing the Ford GT car, they get to spec out.
A grail car for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's kind of like a $500,000 car to start with. So the watch is spec'd to the car that you buy. So the VIN number will be engraved into the case. The colors will match your car. It's kind of a personal touch, like added seats, you get your added watch. And it's a huge added value. We're all assembling them with Bradley in his studio. So.
Yeah, very cool. Who knew that? Yeah. When you started watchmaking school, that you would be on
No.
a project like that.
Never, yeah. Being in New York, you kind of meet a lot of people like that, but it's a small world.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about this hobby is you just, pretty quickly can kind of meet a lot of really cool people. So Jose, we have a lot of heat on the table that we'll get to in a second, but I want to ask just real quick, how did you even get into watchmaking? It's such a specialized world.
Yeah, I'm usually the first watchmaker someone's usually met. So my father-in-law, shout out to my wife Jessica, her father was a watchmaker for 50 years. He worked at Seiko, and we had met in high school, so I'd always seen him, working on watches. And right around the time we graduated, he had retired, and we were playing around with watches on his bench, and that's kind of what kind of showed me the way. And he was like, "Yeah, you have a good act for this, so you should go to school." It led me into looking into schools, and it turns out there's a watchmaking school in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. It's where the Amish are. That's where I applied, and I was lucky enough to get in. It was 2 years, full-time, 3,600 hours.
It's intense.
Yeah. It's like a pre-med school. We were there Saturdays. If we wanted to do special projects, we were allowed to come in and do, all our own work. But it was intense 2 years.
Yeah, you made a pre-med analogy, and you're just at the bench doing surgery a lot of time.
Yeah, it feels like surgery.
In the heart of American watchmaking, that's where Hamilton is from, and
Correct.
other American companies were, in Amish country, Pennsylvania.
No distractions.
And yeah, we were talking, before the camera started rolling, there's just a lot of watchmakers, even here in the New York area. The funny thing is you don't often see watchmakers. They're really the unsung heroes of this whole industry.
Correct, yeah. I chose a path to go work at a jewelry store. So I currently work at Shreve Crump & Lowe in Greenwich, Connecticut. I'm on the floor a lot. I talk to clients. I'm also in the back. I'm obviously servicing. I'm face down at the bench. But I'm at a place where I'm accessible. I could talk to the customer. I know a lot of the clients that I'm fixing their watches. I'm doing more of the start to finish everything. I do the estimates. I do the polishing. I do, servicing, ordering parts, everything. And that's kind of a unique role of a watchmaker, where there's different paths. You could work at a service center. You could work at a boutique. Working at a service center, you're most likely just going to be doing one watch, and you're not going to be doing any of the polishing, the casework. You definitely specialize in that work, but I feel like I was going to be a more well-rounded watchmaker working in that position where I'm at.
Well, we have another video coming going through everything you've ever wanted to ask a watchmaker. We're doing that with Jose. So getting back to what we have on the table, I want to talk about a watch that I'm surprised that a watchmaker owns, and that's this Rolex Oyster quartz. I would think you would just be mechanical all the way, but what is about this one?
We don't scoff at quartz. This was the first Rolex that I purchased for myself. It was a 30th birthday gift for myself. It's just so out of left field, just like this one.
Yeah.
It's
the far corners of the Rolex universe.
If you want to talk about not rare, but there's no rare Rolex, but this is definitely a little more rare than
it's up
average.
There. I mean, especially once you add in the dial and everything, it's
right. It's a quirky watch. So one perk of working at a jewelry store, you get to see a lot of things that come in before they hit the floor, and this was one of them that I felt I should buy for myself. By the time I turned 30, I had been a watchmaker for 6 years. and I didn't feel I should have been wearing a Rolex, even though that's most of the watches I was working on. It just felt like, oh, you're too young or whatever. So then it felt right. And this is definitely not someone's first Rolex choice, but it just, opportunity happened, and this is where it led me.
You had to get out of your 20s before you felt comfortable wearing a Rolex.
Now I feel like I retired.
Yeah. With the gold Rolex too, yeah. I think this is a watch that a lot of people grow to love. It is such a time capsule in their history. You know, you have a lot of Datejust that look the exact same as they have for, 60 plus years. And then you have a solid gold integrated bracelet quartz driven watch from, let's just call it the top name in watchmaking.
Correct, yeah. It's definitely recognizable because it's so unique. It's not a watch they would probably make again, I don't think. This is definitely a different era of Rolex watchmaking.
So from one Rolex to the next, I want to talk about this one here. 34 millimeters, rivet bracelet, an Explorer style dial with a hell of a lot of patina on here. What can you tell me about this one?
Yeah, this is another one that came as a pre-owned watch at my store, and it was just really unique. And I just don't see them that much. I see a lot of watches, and when something like this comes across my bench, it's, it's very, I know that it's unique. So I usually whenever I make my purchases, I just don't think about it. Just swipe the credit card, and that's kind of what this was.
This was an impulse buy, let's say. It just came across, and you're like, hell, why not?
Let's do it. And it's just, the condition is amazing.
Yeah.
It has a stretch bracelet. The patina is really unique. I've never seen something like it.
It's definitely gotten better with age, I will say. It's so warm, it's so toasty. And it's one of those things, with older Rolex watches or really any vintage watch that has, character from decades and decades, you just don't know when you're going to see that again.
No, yeah. When I know that it's special, like this is special, you won't see that often. And this is a manual wind movement, another weird Rolex.
Very thin.
Yeah, screw down crown manual wind. That's not what Rolex would make again. This is designed from a different era. It's 1953, this watch.
What's the reference number?
The reference is 6422. It's from 1953. It's a very unique watch, and it feels like a watch I want to wear on the beach with some white linen and just toes in the sand when I want a smaller watch, because this is 34 millimeters.
Classically sized as well.
Yeah, as some would say.
So you have watches in a range of sizes. We go from 34 to much larger than that. What can you tell me about this hunk of grain over here?
IWC Woodland Chrono. This is the green ceramic. I love the colorway. I love all their fun plays on color. This was the first watch I bought when I started my job at Shreve Crump & Lowe. And we're a retailer of IWC, and it just felt right. I wanted to wear something, and this is my fun watch.
The ceramic here just takes color so well, and I know you've worn this a good amount, but it's because of the material. It's just there's not a scratch on it.
It looks brand new. Yeah, you can't really scratch it up. I've swam with this. I've rode my bike with this, and it's great. I love it. Yeah,
this could make a great daily beater just because it doesn't, some people want to see the stars and things like that, and this is...
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Yeah, this is quite the opposite. So how does this fit into your collection?
This is, depending on the day, I always wanted something with color. I wear a lot of colors, but I bought a green suit just to match with this. This is my fun watch. It feels like a piece, like a Lego piece. Makes it more fun. Watchmaking is very serious, and I feel like this is a fun play on, colors.
I think it's both at the same time. You have, an IWC chronograph caliber in here, but also it's solid green.
It looks like
Yeah.
a toy.
I'm glad I got to see one of these in person, because you really just, a photo doesn't really do it justice of how the light hits this and how the colors play off of it. And I'm glad that there's, a personal story there too.
Right. Yeah, another watch that I would probably want to make a note on. This one, this is a Patek Philippe 2584. This is, I believe, 1959. This is the first automatic movement that Patek made. So it's similar range to the 2526 from that era. 36 millimeters. It definitely has a vintage feel to it, warm tones.
Very classic Patek.
Correct, yeah. This is, some would say a Calatrava, some not, I don't know. But to me, this is a Calatrava, and this is, peak Patek design. I love this watch.
It's funny because you called your school watch your tuxedo watch.
Correct.
When does this get wrist time?
Maybe if it was a brown suit, a brown linen suit. Mm-hmm. I like linen, I guess.
A little warmer color kind of thing, you're saying?
Yes. This is, feel like you're in Italy. You feel like you're, I guess, on the beach. Yeah, I want to feel beachy.
Yeah. It's a watch that never goes out of style either.
No, this I could wear for the rest of my life, and one of my favorites. Cool little crown, plastic crystal. One of Patek's greatest movements. I mean, there's a long story with this watch. Rolex had the patent for an automatic watch, and so Patek had around 20 years to develop this movement. They definitely spent those 20 years developing it, which probably was more expensive than they planned. So they over-engineered this watch, and there's not many of these movements that they made and even still around. So, as a watchmaker, seeing something like this, it's a very well-engineered movement.
And what was the caliber on this one again?
This is a 12-600 AT.
And this is a great example. A lot of people choose a Calatrava, rightfully so, as simplicity done well, just pure elegance. But it's great to hear from a watchmaker that there's so much going on underneath there, and through a closed case back, it's
Correct.
It's just a hidden story going on. So from ultra classic to avant-garde, this is a brand that I've thought about buying for a long time. What are your thoughts on Ming?
I love Ming. This, a newer brand, and it's independent. So the way I got this, I am part of a watch club, and the name of it is Watch Club Society.
Yep.
And
this is not your ordinary Ming, let's say.
No. He was gracious enough to design this dial specifically for our group. This is one of 50. And
beautiful dial.
Yeah, it plays with the light very well. It's a very easy watch to wear. For me, this represents the fun relationships I made, the good watch community that's out there. I just love wearing this, and it represents the relationships I've made in the watch community.
Yeah, I think people get into watches for the watches, and then they kind of stay for the people, it turns out.
Correct.
Now I want to move to a hunk of gold that's been staring at me this whole time, which is this onyx style day-date with a couple special features in here. What can you tell me about this?
Yeah, my Tony Soprano watch.
Yeah.
Feels right at home in Jersey. This is a bark bracelet, onyx style day date. It's got a cool patina to it. I just always love 5-digit day dates.
Yeah, I think the 5-digit period is so cool. And the great thing about day dates is from a distance, they can look a little monolithic, let's say, but there's just you're always finding new dials, you're always finding new variations. And the bark has been one of my favorites for a long time. It catches light so well. There's like a little texture you can just kind of run your fingers over. And I think the bezel is, another cool feature. You also have these little notches here, which on a very minimal dial actually help you tell time a little bit too.
This is not for telling time.
This is not for telling time.
This lets you know what day of the week it is.
Yeah, exactly. This lets you know that you have made it. It is baller time, and that is it. The onyx style is so cool. It's just so inky. It just absorbs light like a black hole.
I serviced this watch, and I'll tell you, it took me 2.5 hours to put the dial on and get it spec-free of dust or lint.
Oh, because it
picks up dust or any debris like no other, and you're fighting all the dust that's everywhere.
And approximately what time period is this from?
This is 1985.
There we go. This feels like a 1985 kind of watch. This is a watch that I've always admired, and I think rightfully so. Solid gold day date is a trophy for a lot of people, and this even just feels like a gold trophy. And I want to move into, speaking of big time stuff, our kind of grail section over here. And I want to start with a watch that I would personally wear just case back out, let's say. Let's talk about this Lange.
Yeah, so this is kind of like an accomplishment. It's one of the watches that when I first started getting into watches, most watch people don't only know about Rolex. This is something when I started researching, more high-end brands came up, and, just to even look at it was amazing. So when I had time to actually buy one, it's more of an accomplishment, and to actually own this, it feels really well.
What model are we working with here?
So
it's a Lange 1, but it's not your typical Lange 1, let's say.
It's got a little extra sauce. So this is a Lange 1 World Time in platinum. It's heavy.
Yeah, it is a formidable piece.
Yeah, it's more of an accomplishment for me. So I really love wearing this, and definitely a watch that no one will recognize if you're not into watches. And that's what I love about it the most.
The extra sauce here is the world time function. How does that work?
So the Lange has made it very easy for us. They added a little button over here, so whatever city you're traveling to, it should be indicated around this disc. And say you fly to a different time zone, you push this button, it will change your home and your travel time.
I imagine this is quite complicated to work on.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. But I did give it to one of my favorite watchmakers, Alcus, and he definitely took care of it.
Yeah, it's like working on a Ferrari or something. It's just, there's a lot that could go wrong.
There's a lot of pieces in this watch, yes.
Yeah, let's look at the case back here, because what a lot of people say about Lange, at least, datagraphs and things like that, is it's like looking at a small city. We were talking about movement finishing on your school watch, for example, and I think a lot of people would say no one does it better than Lange.
Yes, this is something that if people don't understand it, when you flip it over, they will.
Yeah.
This is a piece of art, and this will never leave my collection.
So my question, Jose, is why choose this over your standard minimal Lange one?
Well, the Lange one in general just is one of my favorite watches that they make.
Absolutely.
And it's just a good mix of everything going on, but very legible. But also, like, this watch, I didn't choose this watch. Most of these watches I didn't choose. They chose me. It's opportunity. They come to me, and when it's time to buy them, I was ready. But
Yeah, the time is right, and when you know, you know.
correct. I was lucky with this one.
We've covered so much ground today, high to low, to watches that people can't even buy. I want to talk about the last one that we have left, which is Big Pimpin' over here. This solid gold Daytona. How did this come about?
Yeah, so I after I bought this one and this one, it's it felt right, a right transition.
Mm-hmm.
This is nicknamed the Pikachu. It's another play on being a kid again. You can tell I don't wear it that much, but it's my special occasion watch.
Mm-hmm.
I engraved this one. It's engraved in the back.
Which is something a lot of people would be hesitant to do, I would say.
Correct, yeah. It makes it more your own. And my engraving in the back, it says, "Don't melt."
What does that mean?
A lot of watches, that would come across my bench, it's whether it be like a solid gold pocket watch or a no-name branded but gold watch. A lot of jewelry stores, they just put it on the scale, they weigh it, and they melt it.
Yeah, for the gold value,
Correct.
not for, yeah.
So this is a quote from myself telling whoever gets this watch one day, don't melt it.
It's like dog tags on a soldier, on a fallen soldier, let's say.
Yes, keep this alive.
So out of every watch you could have chosen, why this?
It probably all started from this guy, the oyster quartz. I got a taste of yellow gold and wanted more, and the Daytona is such an icon.
Yeah.
So this is kind of how it stemmed. I sought after it and had to get it.
And if you're going to go for a Daytona, you thought,
All gold.
just
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Go for it. Go
Really,
big or go
really
home.
go for it. So how does it feel to wear one of these things on the wrist? I mean, just in hand, it's very heavy, but like, what's the aura that it gives off?
It's definitely a watch that you check your wrist multiple times throughout the day. It's definitely a trophy. This is, I get into a different character when I put this watch on.
So is this it? Is this the peak of your collecting journey?
Yes, I'm done. I've reached enlightenment. To my wife, Jess, yes, I'm done collecting watches.
But if you had to do just one more,
All right.
what would it be? Would you go back to Lange? Would you do an independent, maybe like a FP Journe or something like that?
So if I had to get another watch, sell everything and get a Grubel 4Z.
Beautiful. And why that?
It's just it's super sporty but super high end. It's a good blend of kind of who I am.
It's like all of these combined into one.
Right.
Jose, thanks for sitting down with us today. You have an arsenal of watches here, and it's cool to talk to someone who knows them inside and out. I want to thank Brew for providing us the space today. And we have another video coming out with Jose about watchmaking. Every question you've wanted to ask for Watchmaker, he's going to answer it. I'm Thomas Hendricks with Chrono 24. This is Jose Vega. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.